in this attempt not only to pray together in Shabbat, but also to learn a little bit about the structure of prayer. So, for those that didn't know that you were coming into a service that is going to be almost by definition very different, so I just want you to know it's going to be a bit different. And as I pointed out yesterday, I usually begin by singing, and yesterday and today we began our service by speaking, because I just want to make sure that everybody is aware of that. And I'll tell you in advance a little bit what we are going to do. We are going to explore and pray several prayers, and pray a little bit and explore a little bit the structure of the service once again, slightly differently from what we did yesterday, and explore the context for some of these blessings and prayers that we are saying together. Now, if you have like a very, very, very like something, a question that you can't like hold it. No, well, we'll have an opportunity to share some comments and questions, but the idea is also to be able to experience prayer as it is. So there is a component that we need to be mindful of, and we're going to try to create this space together. I'd like to invite you to open your Sidurim, your prayer books, on page 186. And I want you to be aware of something as we start our prayer. Can you hear me well? Is my microphone out, Chris, here in the room? Okay. Are you there? Are you on page 186? So, the morning service, the morning prayers, as we have them in our Siddur, there are actually two things coming together. They are set in our Siddur like if they were one, but as a matter of fact, some of these prayers are to be said as you wake up, and they're a part of the routine that you do at home. And some of them are a part of the routine when you come to the synagogue and you pray in a minyan. The two of them are a bit mingled in our Siddur. Not a bit, completely mingled. But with that awareness, we will start. And the reason for that is because the first prayer that we say in the morning, not necessarily when we come to the temple, in the morning, as you open your eyes, is Modeh or Modah or Modim Ani. And the reason, or one of the beautiful things behind that, is that the word Modeh means grateful. Now, a normal structure for that would be to say, Ani Modeh, I am grateful, as opposed to grateful I am. And the reason we have this weird structure for the sentence is to say, as our first word in the morning, grateful. It's for us to set a mindset of gratitude, not a mindset of just going along the way straightforward without thinking much, but just being intentional about our words. We say, Modeh ani lefanecha melechai bekayam. I'm grateful in front of you that you have returned my soul to me in mercy. How great is your trust, which is a way to say, I'm grateful for being who I am. I'm grateful for having my life and for having God's trust to become the best version of myself, just to be myself. Modeh lefanecha melechai bekayam. Modeh ani lefanecha melechai bekayam. Shechesata binishmati bechemla rava אמונתך שחזרת בי נשמתי בחמלה רבה אמונתך. There are people that say, עודני לפניך, רוח חי מקיים, like spirit of life, and the reason is to have a gender neutral presence for God as opposed to the personification of the king, is to have a gender neutral expression to the spirit of life in the world. So we can sing that to Ruach Chai. Let's try it again. עודני לפניך רוח חי וקיים שחזרת בי נשמתי בחמלה רבה אמונתך שחזרת בי נשמתי בחמלה רבה אמונתך. Yes, I invite you to turn your theory to page 192. The words matobu that we sing at the synagogue, actually this prayer was meant to be said by walking toward the synagogue. It wasn't a part of the public space prayer. It was an acknowledgement of the place that we are entering to. Think about it. How often you take like a deep breath before entering this building and you say, okay, let's build community. Well, not so often probably, but the idea is that every time you enter a synagogue, a house of prayer, a Beit Keilah, a house of community, we are supposed to say something like Matovu. So we sing that together, understanding that we build spaces, and they are not only the buildings that hold all of us together, but also the intentions that we bring to these buildings. Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. We'll now turn our theory to page 194. Interestingly enough, talking about this mingle of blessings and prayers that we have in our Siddur, this prayer that I usually mention as the prayer for the well-functioning of our bodies, is the prayer, is the blessing that is meant to be used after going to a restaurant. It's literally that. And sometimes it's difficult to understand why those that ate at our Siddur brought this blessing into our daily blessings. And one of the things that the rabbis, caregivers, and sometimes dear family members know is that the functions of our body witness to the level of livelihood that we have. When those functions of our body stop functioning, it means that our bodies are starting to leave this world. And when we acknowledge our lives, and that's one of the things that we do every single morning, we take a moment to acknowledge our lives and to express gratitude for being alive. We also give thanks for the well-functioning, for the nature of our bodies just working as it's supposed to be. Sometimes they are not fully working, so we say, well, to that extent that it's working, I'm grateful for that. And I hope it will work better. So this is an important thing. So I invite you to look at page 194 and to say these words quietly to yourself, and also to take a moment and think if there is a part of your body that needs some special, some loving attention and recognition, and think about that for a moment. At the bottom of page 194, blessed are you, Adonai, who heals all flesh, working wondrously. Baruch ata Adonai, Rofe kol basar, umafli la'asot. And this parashat Truma, we learn about the tabernacle that we build. And Kabbalah teaches us that to some extent, our bodies are the tabernacle of our existence. And that's why we treat our bodies with sacred deference. Symbolically, the blessing that comes immediately after the blessing for our bodies is the blessing for our souls, which is to some extent a spark of the divine presence, the spark that we hold in our tabernacle. The word neshama, soul, is almost the same word as the word neshima, breath. And sometimes through breathing is how we engage, it's how we reach the divine aspect of our existence by trying just to be grounded. So I invite you to experiment with that for just one moment and breathe. Understand that our existence is not limited only to our bodies, to our sacred vessels. On page 196, the blessing for our souls. Elohai neshama
shenatata bi tehorai. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorai. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehora, tehorai. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorai. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorai. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehora, tehorai.
Teorai, our souls are pure, and we are reminded also that we have the ability, the strength to reset. That if yesterday, for some reason, we did wrong, ultimately, our souls are pure, and we have the ability to do better today, whatever that means. Understand that every day is a new opportunity to connect with ourselves and to become the best, the purest version of ourselves. And we say, for as long as that soul is within me, I offer thanks to you, Adonai, my God and God of my ancestors, source of all creation, sovereign of all souls. Praise are you, Adonai, in whose hand is every living soul and the breath of humankind. And let's say together,
ברוך אתה אדוני אשר בידו נפש כל חי ורוח כל בשר איש.
I want you to know two things now. So as we are moving to the blessings for the daily miracles, they are called Birkot HaShachar. They are traditionally said while standing. You don't have to stand. You can rise in your spirit if you want. But there's actually a nice reason for that. And it's because Birkot HaShachar, the blessings for the daily miracles, which is kind of an interpretation to call them miracles, is to acknowledge the small things that we have in our lives and that we take for granted. And you will notice that they go from very universal, physical things to the universal character of humanity, to the very particular component of being Jewish. We have like 3 different sections that are well defined. And to being a part of the Jewish people. And Lavhim ben Yonu ben Laila, to distinguish day from night, recognizing the passage of time. Pokeach Hibrin, you can say that it's literally open the eyes of the blind when you open your eyes in the morning, or that opens our eyes to learn and to discover new things. Matir Asurim has to do with stretching your body, right? When you wake up in the morning, do yoga, meditation, is to freeze the captives, because we sleep in this kind of closest form. I got a bit messy, apologize. And then to stretch and to extend our bodies. So kef kefufim, lift up the fallen. It's not a metaphorical about helping those that are in need. It's actually literally about stretching your back. It's about like, once again, it's not that the world of spirituality in Jewish tradition. We're talking about the 2 components of the tabernacle, like this, the ark and the table. Yeah, like the ideas, the spiritual ideas that we carry, they are important, but our bodies are foundational in order to be able to carry those ideas, and we need to defer sacred care to those bodies. Roke Haaretz Alamayim, our ability to step with strength. Malbish Harumim, who clothes the naked. And of course, these have many, many layers, right? Like not only about getting dressed, but also about certain social awareness that we can start and giving you energy, not only of koach, numami afapai, like really that we battle our need to be sleeping, or the numbness that we sometimes experience in our lives. And interestingly enough, from that numbness we go to that Shasani B'Tselem Elohim, which is called to what? Who made me in the image of God, that all human beings were created equal, and then who has made me free, who has made me a Jew, who girds Israel with strength, who crowns Israel with splendor. And you see that transition from physical actions to the universal character of humanity, to the choice of being Jewish. Okay, so let's do the blessings, and then we'll keep it running. And I encourage you to think about your own body. If you feel like standing up, you can do that. If you feel like moving your body a little bit and trying to recognize the different parts, stretching, you can do that too. It's not going to kill you to move in a service. I promise. There's no such a thing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has given the mind the ability to distinguish day from night.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who opens the eyes of the blind.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
He is the captive.
You can stretch your body if you feel comfortable.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who lifts up the fallen.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, rokei haaretz alamayim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who strengthens our steps.
I always say, if you have had ever plantar fasciitis or something like that, you know exactly what this blessing is about, right? So when you wake up in the morning and you say, oh, my feet, well, it's about saying, okay, but I'm now standing. I have the ability to stand or to feel a connection with the ground and grounded. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who clothes the naked. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who gives strength to the weary.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who removes sleep from the eyes, slumber from the eyelids.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me in the image of God. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam,
who has made me free.
Which basically means that who has given all human beings free will. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, uchasmei mi'etzro. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ugirz Israel with strength. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ukrans Israel with splendor. You may be seated. And then there is a blessing for the study of Torah to make sure that we, and by the way, this is kind of packing just in case. You know the story about like eating the soup before dinner or after dinner? No? You want to tell the story? Tell. It's your father's story. Come on, you do it. I'll tell the story. So Amos, my father-in-law, used to say this story about the discussion about Jews. It wasn't that funny, actually. It's kind of tragic, right? But it was with humor about the discussion that some Jewish families in Europe had about having the soup before dinner or after dinner, just in case that the Cossacks came to take them. So if you had soup before dinner and then the Cossacks would come after dinner, when you were having dinner, so at least you had something.
You could take the dinner with you and run. Or otherwise, if you eat the soup after dinner, if they come and get you, at least you've had something substantial before.
So the having the blessing for the study of Torah and a piece of Torah study in the middle of the service is just in case. It's that. It's exactly that. And it was added to the liturgy to say, well, just don't be too long without studying Torah. It's this kind of tension and fear that the rabbis had. And I want to say that spiritually speaking, is in the context of this section, there is gratitude. All these blessings that are gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. And it's a mindset of gratitude. It's an opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to engage in Torah, in the study of Torah, and to connect every single day with our core values. And to be grateful for having those values and to have some compass to navigate our way in the world. So let's say the blessing for the study of Torah together on page 204. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Let's continue in English. O Adonai, our God, let the words of Torah, you know English, come on, be sweet in our mouths and the mouths of your people Israel, so that we, our descendants, and the descendants of all your people Israel may know you by studying your Torah for its own sake. Blessed are you, Adonai, who teaches Torah to your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, המלמד תורה לעמו ישראל. And on page 206, אלו דברים שאין להם שיעור. These are things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit in the world, while the principle remains in the world to come. They are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study, morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests. So if you see a guest, say welcome. You are all guests. You can look at each other and say welcome. You are all guests. Come on, say welcome to each other. You can do it. Make eye contact. Make eye contact with someone. Welcome. Very nice to see you. And visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people. But the study of Torah encompasses them all. And in that context, we are reminded that rabbinical tradition says that the study of Torah comes before fulfilling mitzvot because it leads to fulfilling mitzvot. So this kind of a wisdom and acts as a nurturing source for the engagement in mitzvot. We will now turn to section number 2, which is the Psukei de Simbra, the songs of praise. So after experiencing gratitude, after thinking about the things that we are grateful for, there's a section in our service that is like a workout for our souls. It's not like about connecting the mind much. It's about connecting the heart through song. So we will sing some of the Psukei de Simbra, some of the songs of praise. There's a blessing. Every single section is accompanied by a blessing at the beginning and a blessing at the end. So we will say those blessings, and then we'll sing some of the Psukei de Simbra, and then we will move into the next section, which is called knowledge. It has to do with knowing that God is one, and we'll talk about that in one more moment. So page 212, the beginning of the workout for our souls, the Psukei de Simbra. Baruch Shammah, חיי העולם. ברוך הוא, ברוך שמו, ברוך עושה בראשית, ברוך אומר ועושה, ברוך גוזר ומקיים, ברוך מרחם על הארץ, ברוך מרחם על הבריות, ברוך משלם שכר טוב לרעב, ברוך חי לעד וקיים לנצח, ברוך פודה ומציל, ברוך הוא, ברוך שמו, יאללה לי 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 לי, יאללה לי 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 לי, יאללה 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 לי לי לי, יאללה לי לי לי. At the bottom of page 212. אדוני מלך מהולל, ותשבחו. Once again. ברוך אתה אדוני מלך מהולל, ותשבחו. Page 214, the Psukei, the Simbra in Shabbat, start with the psalm that is dedicated to Shabbat. Yesterday we spoke about the 7 psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat. Remember that? Some of you, and if you weren't here, no problem, we'll teach you about that in a different opportunity. You can also watch the video. But there are 7 psalms that somehow stand in front of every single day of the week. And they were a later addition. There was one psalm that was dedicated to Shabbat in the psalms, and it's 92. So the Psukei de Simbra, the songs of praise, in Shabbat start with Psalm 92, which is the song for the day of Shabbat. And I'm happy to open the democracy for a moment here. Do you want to choose a melody for this? You like that one? Okay. We're gonna transpose it. Fine. That's my childhood memory. It's kind of rocky.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, להגיד בבוקר חסדך, באמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלינה ועלי היגיון בכינור. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידיך ארנן. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון.
Page 215. אשרי העם שככה לו.
אשרי העם שאדוני אלוהיו, אשרי העם שככה לו, אשרי העם שאדוני אלוהיו.
אשרי יושבי ביתך, same conversation that we were having about the Mishkan. Happy are those who dwell in your house. How do you go to that house? Well, you build it. You build it. You are happy when you are mindful about what you are building. We'll continue with the reading of Ashrei on page 215. I want you to see something. I want you to notice something. Ashrei goes through the entire Hebrew alphabet. Every single one of the verses starts with a different letter. And it's a checklist, actually, of many things that we can recognize in our lives. So I like very much often to chant Ashrei, but I want you to do I want to invite you to do two things. To read the English, I think the words are very meaningful, or to take a moment for personal meditation and to think just for one moment about what's that place of joy and connection for you. תהילת אדוני ידבר פי, ויברך כל בשר שם קודשו, לעולם בהד. At the bottom of page 216. ואנחנו נברך יה, מעתה ועד עולם. Hallelujah. We'll do Psalm 150. Who knows how many psalms we have? We have exactly 150. So this is the last one, but it's such a wonderful one because it reminds us that there are so many ways to connect with God, so many ways to connect with meaning in our lives. Dancing, drumming, playing shofar, playing violin, and what no. So many ways, and it's important for us, for all of us, for each of us, to recognize what our instruments are and to bring those instruments to the work that we want to do in our lives. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah,
ועוגב. הללו, הללו, הללו. הללו, הללו, הללו. הללו, הללו, הללו. הללו, הללו, הללו. הללו, בצלצלי שמיים. הללו, בצלצלי תרועה. כל הנשמה תהלליה. הללו, הללויה. כל הנשמה תהלליה. הללו, הללויה. כל הנשמה תהלליה. הללו, הללויה. Nishmat Kol Chai is usually chanted silently. It's a moment for reflection. I just want you to notice a little bit of the words. God awakens the sleeping, arouses those who slumber, gives speech to the mute, and God loosens the bonds of captives. God supports the fallen and strengthens those who are bent over. You alone do we acknowledge. But also, you can seal any of these prayers with the words, through me. God arouses the sleeping, God gives speech to the mute through me. Reminding us that this is our responsibility on page 220. A wonderful poem for gratitude. And we double down and double down in gratitude. And then, on page 222, there is the end of this section called Nishmat Kol Chai, which is the last section of the songs of praise. And I want you to notice the words in the context of the parasha that we are reading, of Truma, of the Torah portion we are reading, the Torah portion of the contributions that are given for the Mishkan. We say Shochen Ad, like the word Mishkan. The one who sits with us for eternity. And where is it? B'makalot rebobot amcha beit Israel, in the voices of the people of Israel. In our coming and singing together. Wondering about why we care so much about singing? Well, for many of us, that's how we connect with the divine. That's a different way to bring our souls. שוכן עד מרום בקדוש שמו, בכתוב ראינו צדיקים באדוני, לישרים נבע תהילה, בפני ישרים תתהלל, ובדברי צדיקים תתברך, ובלשון חסידים תתרומם, ובקרב קדושים תתקדש, ובמקלות רבבות עמך בית ישראל, רנה יתפאר שמך מלכנו, בכל דור ודור. ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו, ההל המלך הגדול, והקדוש בשמיים ובארץ, כי לך נאה, אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, שלושבחה, הלל בשמרה, עוש ממשלה, נצח גדולה וגבורה, תהילה ותפארת, קדושה ומלכות, ברכות והודאות, מעתה ועד עולם. And now, yes, the words that seal the songs of praise. You remember we spoke about this idea that sections have an initial blessing and then a closing blessing. This is the closing blessing, which basically means that we are going to go somewhere else now. Baruch atah Adonai, El Melech Gadol, Batishbachot, El Aodaot, Adonai Niflaot, Abocher Beshirei Simbra, Melech, El Chei Haolamim. Chetzi Kaddish, to distinguish between sections. On page 224, moments of transition in services are determined or are separated by the use of Chetzi Kaddish. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועלמה דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, וחייכון וביומכון, וחיי בכל בית ישראל. בגלה בגלה, ובזמן קריב, אמרו אמן. יש מרבם לבוא, לעולם ולעול ועלמא וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר, ויתעלה, ויתהלל שמת הקודשה.
בריחו
לה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה,
ושמחתה ונחמתה, דמינן בעלמא.
אמרו.
Amen.
Here on page 226, please rise for the Shema, for the blessing that opens the section of the Shema. And I want everybody to be aware of two things. We're going to go through the Shema, and I will hint a few things quickly. We're going to go a bit more rapidly or more normally through this section, but I will hint some words that we used yesterday night, and they will be informative and hopefully of Kavanah for this section. But I want to repeat something that is very, very important, and it's that the blessing that opens the Shema, Baruch Hu, can only be recited out loud if you have a community, if you have a minyan. If you are praying on your own, or 2 people, or 3 people, only with your friends, 4, 5, you cannot say this out loud. You cannot say out loud a blessing that will open this idea that God is one when you have not enough representation of the diversity of humanity. If we sustain, if we advocate for this idea that God is one, before saying that He's one, we need to understand that we, all of us, were created in the image of God. So we need some diversity in the room, some people in the rooms. Page 226. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Second blessing after Baruch Hu is a blessing for us to acknowledge the beauty of nature, this world that was created for us, that it surrounds us with the beauty of light, and that reminds us that we ourselves are carriers of light. Praise are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of light and darkness, who makes peace and fashions all things. How numerous are your works, Adonai, in wisdom. You form them all, filling the earth with your creatures, with us. Shine a new light upon Zion, that we all may swiftly merit its radiance. Baruch atah Adonai. Praise are you, Adonai, creator of all heavenly lights. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer HaMeorot. Page 230. Remember this idea that the Shema is surrounded by love. Abba Rabbah, a deep love, an everlasting love, Abba Olam, in the evening. Then we say the Shema, and then we say, Be'afta, you shall love. Before saying the Shema, before saying that God is one, we need to somehow find a way to say that we ourselves are loved. That this universe, that this world was created for us, is a loving gift to us. That's why we say blessings about nature before saying the Shema. But the Shema is a great opportunity to take a moment and think about what makes you, us, you individually, feel loved. So I encourage you to think for a moment about what makes you feel deeply loved. It might be a landscape, it might be a memory, an anecdote, someone's face, smile, a place.
Enlighten our eyes with your Torah. Focus our minds on your mitzvot. Unite our hearts in love and reverence for your name. Guide us in peace from the four corners of the earth and lead us upright to our land. For you, O God, work wonders. You choose us. Truly, you drew us here to your great name, that we might acknowledge you, declaring you one in love. I want to show you something. If you are wearing a talit, at this time, we take the four corners of our talit and we bring them together. The reason we do that, so the prayer literally says, gather us in peace from the four corners of the earth. So one of the possibilities about the people coming together, another possibility or another concept is to understand that we ourselves are internally divided, that we are internally diverse, that our personalities and lives have different aspects, and that ultimately we are a whole, and we need to acknowledge ourselves also as a whole. So we bring the four corners of our talit together and saying, I am one, and God is one. So we say, praise be you, Adonai, who chooses your people Israel in love. Baruch atah Adonai, abocher be'amo Israel be'ahava. And we turn our Sibling to page 232 for the Shema. Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. On page 234. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך בדיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ולפתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאור על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על משושות ביתך ובשעריך. Keep holding your tzitziot, your talit. We're on page 236. Adonai said to Moses as follows: Speak to the Israelite people and instruct them to make for themselves fringes, the corners of your talit, on the corners of their garments throughout the ages. Let them attach a cord of blue to the fringe at each corner. That shall be your fringe. Look at it and recall all the commandments of Adonai and observe them so that you do not follow your heart and eyes in your lustful urge. And you will see that some people, when they say the word fringe, they kiss the fringes. So some people kiss them every time that the word fringe appears, and some people at the end, that's the reason for the 3 kisses is because it appears 3 times in the text. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, ויתן קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת. אמת ביציב באהוב. You can release your ציציות ביציב וחביב ונורא ואדיר בטוב ביפה. הדבר עשה עלינו לעולם בהדם. This is also part of the Shema. The Shema actually ends with ברכת הגאולה, the blessing for redemption, with מי כמוך. It's all the way through, reminding us that we need to be able to think about all the components, to say the first blessing out loud, to have a community, diversity. Second, to recognize the beauty of nature and to say this world was created for me. Then to say I am deeply loved. Then to say I'm one with God, and kind of my work in the world is to actively bring love into the world. Be'afta. That's the meaning of Be'avta. And to share it with the next generations. To do it in my house, and also when I walk in the way. And then the last blessing, the one thing that seals the next section of the Shema, is Michamocha, or Birkat HaGeulah, the blessing for redemption, saying or reminding us that sometimes the world is difficult. Sometimes we are dealing with obstacles that seem to be impossible, like the Sea of Reeds. But if we know that we are loved, and we know that we have the ability to love, maybe from that place we can gather the strength to make a step forward with faith. We learned this wonderful teaching that the women of Israel prepared their tambourines before they left Egypt, because they knew that they were going to celebrate after crossing the Red Sea. So we are reminded that we need to take our tambourines. Okay? We're going to turn our series to page 240 for the blessing for redemption. Michamocha. Michamocha
באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נעלה בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נעלה בקודש,
נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, שירה חדשה שיפו גאולים לשמך שפת הים, שירה חדשה שיפו גאולים לשמך שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל, קומה means stand up. קומה בעזרת ישראל. You can rise on your spirit if you are unable to rise on your legs. וקמנו מחייונה בישראל, אוי גואלנו, אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל, ילאי לי לי לי, ילאי לי לי לי, ברוך אתה אדוני. Turn our Sidurim now to page 242. And we shift into a different section, a section in which we can focus for a moment in what we need. We try to find attention for different things in our lives. And if we were busy expressing our gratitude and then like lifting up our souls so we could say that we are loved and that God is one, at this point we can dedicate a moment during Tfilat Amidah, this section called request, bakasha, to think about the things that we need in our lives. We will chant the first 3 blessings of the Amidah together, and then we will continue in silence. And I want to give you an image, an idea for this period, for this part of the service. Imagine that you are entering a sacred place. Parashat Trumah, the parasha that we read about the description of the tabernacle. Imagine that you are entering a very special place and you are offered the possibility to speak and to ask for what you need. So what would you ask for? What you really need? Adonai, שפתי תפתח, ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu v'Imoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל, ואלוהי לאה. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומר חסדים טובים, בקונה הכל, וסוחר חסידי אבות באימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בסרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה מתים אתה, רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות ובגבורות מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. ולמנת לחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה המתים. נקדש את שמך בעולם,
כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאיך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. אדיר אדירנו, אדוני אדוננו, מדיר שמך בכל הארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני במקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו ומלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהיך ציון, לדור ודור. הללויה, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים מקדושתך נקדיש, לשבחך אלוהינו, מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
תפילת עמידה in silence. אלוהינו ולא יעבוד אלוהינו ודאי, רצון לחיות. יצא לי אלוהינו לחץ לאמת, לא אדם לחץ כלום. ודיבר לאחרונה, שאתה עונה אלוהינו ולא יעבודנו במותינו, למען בעת, צורך חיינו, מגן אישנו, אתה ולדור ודור, מודה לך. דור לך. On page 258. The last blessing of Tfilat Amidah is a blessing for peace. After focusing on our own needs, we take a moment to say, and the rest of the world. You stop for a moment and you say, well, it's not only about me. And it's beautiful when you think about it, that also at the end of Kaddish and at the end of Tfilat Amidah, we step back a little bit, right? The choreography. I don't know if you noticed, but we go back. And one of the beautiful explanations to that is that in our prayers sometimes and our needs, we also need to find the ability to step back a little bit and to allow and to make space for the reality of another. Page 258. Shalom.
Tova ubracha. Sim shalom. Tova ubracha. Sim shalom. Tova ubracha. Sim shalom. Tova ubracha. חן וחסד, חן וחסד ורחמים. חן וחסד, חן וחסד ורחמים. רחמים. שים שלום. טובה וברכה. שים שלום. טובה וברכה.
Shalom.
שים שלום. טובה וברכה.
Praise you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai המברך את עמו בשלום. את עמו ישראל בשלום. We will now commence our Torah service, but as we say, this is a worship, so we're going to do it very differently today, which basically means I want to tell you what we're going to do, and you'll do it. So, when I put my guitar, I will play guitar for you, but you'll do it. So here's how it works. When we take the Torah from the ark, you can go to, put your theories on page 362. Are you on 362? Wonderful. That's the beginning. Now, there are a couple of things that happen together. We say, as we are walking toward the ark, we start chanting prayers. The ark doesn't need to be open at that point. The real moment in which the ark needs to be open and the Torah needs to be taken is when we say what? Well, we literally say that, Ki mitzion titzeh Torah, right? Like we say, and the Torah will come out from Zion, and also from the United States, right? If you are also a patriot of the United States, or from this ark. But at that moment, we take the Torah from the ark. Now, there are a few jobs that need to happen at the same time. Someone needs to actually open the ark. Someone needs to take the Torah from the ark. And then there are a few blessings that are said. We say those blessings. Now, there's a beautiful component of call and response for the Shema and for the Had Eloheinu. Now, we'll get there and we will do that. Why is it so beautiful to have call and response? Because it's a way to emphasize first the call of the individual, the voice of the individual, and the response of the community. Same thing for the Barhu. The Barhu that we sing all together, it got a bit mess. In addition, the fact that one of the beautiful things about Barhu is the call to the community, is to have someone who is leading the community in prayer and says, come in, and the community responds. So often we have conversations about the lack of response, right? In social justice, we're conversing, I was conversing with different people this week about on the social action. We are calling, nobody's responding. Well, response is something that you need to work on, and there's a space to do that in services and in the liturgy. So that's one. This is one of the opportunities. Now, the last verse that we chant before we start the Torah procession, we do a walk, is Gadul Adonai Tiv and Romema, etc., etc. Now, we turn around, and many people think that we look at the ark. Wrong. We don't look at the ark. We turn toward Jerusalem. And it's actually to say, and we turn toward Jerusalem, mostly to say that we don't worship our Torahs. Now, what happens is that most arks in the synagogues are in the corner of Jerusalem. So we have so that's why some people have some inclination, like as I do when we're in our sanctuary. I incline a little bit more to the right just to demonstrate that I'm not looking or inclining toward the ark, that we are not, bowing toward the ark. That's not, the ark is a beautiful, sacred, ultimately, piece of furniture that we built. It's against our enterprise of monotheism. So we turn around. So in this case, Jerusalem is there. So we're going to turn there. And then we go in the Torah procession. Now, I know this is a lot of information, but we're going to get there. Then, an important thing, why don't we go directly to a table? Why we walk the Torah? And often in a circular way, akafa. There's a meaning to that. And the meaning is that we don't go to the study of Torah or to the reading of Torah straightforward. That there are several ways. And that we do that in a mindful way. That's also the reason that often, if you, for example, came up to an aliyah, you came to fulfill some role in the reading of the Torah. You finish your role and you were sitting there, like Noga. And then you fulfill your role here, and then you go back to sit there. You're not supposed to. The way in which it's supposed to happen, you're supposed to go around the room and get back to your place. Why? Because we take time between fulfilling a sacred task and getting back to what we were doing before. And also, on the other hand, it's a great opportunity to say hello to the community. Right? There are two things that can do it. You hang out with people a little bit. You say hello. You see me going around doing the Torah service saying hello. It's part of the idea. Be quiet, don't exaggerate. But on the other hand, it's part of the idea to go around and make someone else really great, or great job, whatever you want to say. Now, there's one more role. Currently, you will be mostly reading, and we have Mitchell that will be reading as well. Will be reading the Maftir. When we read, we always have another role called the Gabai. Now, the Gabai is also the one who will open the ark, who will give the Torah to the Torah carrier, etc. The Gabai or Gabayit also will follow along with the reading. So if the reader has some challenge or is a bit lost, say, okay, it's an additional layer of support when someone is fulfilling a public role, a public task. And then we will have at the end someone who will lift up the Torah. There's a technique for that. It's not just strength. You need some strength, but not too much. You just need some technique. I can show whoever wants to learn that more specifically in a different opportunity. And the Torah also, there's a role, someone who will golel, someone who will roll back the Torah, dress up the Torah, and then we will return the Torah to the ark. These are all the things that you see. This is the choreography. Now, often at Shir Hadash, it's only cantor doing all this. Or me, or playing guitar. It's a great opportunity to have the community in, but for that you need to know that all these are great opportunities. So we're going to ask now for a Gavai. Who can be our Gavai? Our Gavait. I have a Tikkun Korim. Who knows what Tikkun Korim is? So the Tikkun Korim is a book that is used to accompany the reading. So one part looks like the Torah, what's written in the Torah. This is the part that looks like what's written in the Torah. And the other part has vowels. So you actually know what you read. So, and you will hear that in more traditional synagogues, it's very common. Yes? Tikkun, Korim. Korim is readers. Tikkun is used in so many contexts. It means reparation, rectification, but it's a guide for the reader. Common practice, and very common to have it more. Here we are more careful, but it's very common practice to have in a more traditional synagogue in which Torah is read more extensively. We read a very tiny portion. Shir Hadash. You know how much Torah is read in other synagogues? So, the entire portion. So, conservative Reform Judaism, like many years ago, created something called the triennial rotation, which is now used by conservative Judaism. Well, some conservative synagogues. But basically, readers read way more, way faster, because they need to read a lot. And otherwise, you will be like every service like this one being a bit longer than usual because we have all these explanations. But very long. And what you have, very common practice, to have the Gabbai standing there and saying, and then what you're hearing is that it's correcting the wording of how the reader is using the vowels. Very common practice. You know, it's the most normal thing in the world. And nobody it's obvious. And we would die here, right? I was reading and Cantor corrected me. We here and there do that a little bit, very mildly. But that has to do with some disconnect. And it's this idea that only people that are extremely knowledgeable and they know everything can serve in the synagogue. And no, rabbis don't know everything. Cantors don't know everything. Congregants don't know everything. And this is true also for the language of Torah. When we are reading Torah, we make 300 mistakes. You want to get someone making vowels mistakes in Hebrew, follow me. I 3 sentences in a row and then I start to, I'm a Hebrew is excellent. But I don't always see the vowels, and particularly in Torah, I make my modern Hebrew vowels very quickly. I don't know if you know that, but the vowels in the Torah are in older Hebrew. So the modern Hebrew reader needs to, even when we are seeing a word that seems for us like the most clear thing in the world, we need to recontextualize sometimes the specific vowels that are being used for the reading of Torah. So it's very common for a modern Hebrew speaker not to be thinking too much about it and then to be making lots of mistakes. So you need to be really mindful. So this all to say that it's not about perfection, it's about participation. And it's about commitment and engagement. Okay, so shall we start? Who's our Gabbai? Who Gabbai? Diane, it's you. You were looking around to see if someone else misses you. So, okay, so we're going to...
Only because Carolyn's reading, right?
Yeah, yes. So I will ask you, so we're going to turn our study to page 362, and I don't see the roles that Carol left, that Cantor left me for the Aliyahs. Oh, here they are. We are fine. Cantor, your Cantor is amazing. She has me managed. She put papers for me everywhere. She has several people sending me those papers all the time. She knows who she's dealing with. It's really good. So we're on page 362. Give her your love when you see her. Tell her that we miss her. Page 362. En kamocha Elohim Adonai, en kemaasecha malchutecha malchut kol olamim, umemsholtecha bechol dor vador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai imloch le'olam vaed. Adonai os lemohitehen, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. We need the gabbai to open the ark. עולמים, page 364. כי מציון תצא. We don't have a roll aside. To pass it to someone. מציון תצא על אדוני מירושלים, ברוך שנתן תורה, תורה, ברוך שנתן תורה, תורה, לעמו ישראל בקדושתו. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. אחד אלוהינו, גדול אדוננו, קדוש שמו. ג'רוסלם, גדול אדוני איתי, ונרוממה שמו יחדיו. יאי די 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 די, יאי די 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 די, יאי די 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 די, yai la 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 la, yai la la First help her. We are training the gabbai here. So
Okay, yeah.
you first help her, and then you bring the ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. We'll check if we're in the right place. Ya la 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 la. Yeah, I hope we are. I think we are. Okay. No. We're fine. You may be seated. Okay, so I promise very short and almost not a var Torah because we have so many other words being said this morning. So I will stand by my promise. But I want to circle back in two ideas that we shared in Torah study this morning. That if anything you need to remember about this Torah portion, I think is that I'm just realizing why I'm so surprised. You made it, Susan, from being virtual to being in person, and you are sitting next to the screen. So good to see you. So I've been thinking about you for a couple of minutes, like something is out of place. I'm like, yeah, you transition. Right? Okay. Good that you made it. So, two ideas that I think that is really, really important to keep in mind. Three. Number one, that there's an idea of fair share. Ish kenedavat livo. Every person according to their hearts. But the concept behind that is that everybody needs to participate. That in order to become holder, a carrier, a stakeholder of the Mishkan, you need to bring something. You need to devote something. You need to understand that you're actively engaged on building something. And that idea of being actively engaged is a foundational one, literally. That's how the Mishkan is built. And in the context of all these instructions about building the Mishkan, the tabernacle, then this sentence that for many makes no sense, and it sounds like grammatically weird, but it makes, for me, and I hope for many of you, all the sense in the world. This idea that you will build me a sanctuary and I will dwell among you. Basuli mikdash, b'shachanti betocham. You will build me a sanctuary and I will be with you. This idea that we harness meaning only when we actively engage in something. And that the outcome of what we do might not be ultimately the place where the meaning that we are experiencing will be held. Even if we are building an ark, we can put in the ark a Torah. We cannot put God in the ark. But we can feel a deep connection to God and to meaning while being engaged in the building of that ark. The things that we engage on building them, they are by itself a source of meaning. And in this idea, the word truma, as we said that yesterday and today, truma, contribution, is deeply connected to the word ram, being uplifted. So the contribution uplift the giver. This is a principle. When you study about philanthropy, you very often learn that you are helping your donors. You are supposed to. It's not with major donors. It's not that much about soliciting them, because the work that you are doing ultimately is helping these individuals that are also vision-driven to fulfill their own vision. So you are partners. You're building together, bringing different kind of contributions, but you are building together. That's such a, and they are all in their contributions. By the nature of our contributions, we are uplifted. And the last concept is about these two elements that we have in the Mishkan, that we learn about them in Torah study. Torah study was like 10 minutes today. Just you need to know that. We were talking about, we spoke about Israel quite a bit. I think it was important. But Torah study itself, the text, was 10 minutes. So the last concept is about this idea that we have an ark and we have a table. That the ark is in order to hold the tablets, and the table, which is kind of an unexpected thing, is to put bread. You would say like it was to read Torah. No, there are so many things that make sense. No, bread. And by the way, we know like this idea of having a constant offering in a table, actually from Buddhism, right? We have seen these altars. Well, it's in the Torah as well. It's in the Torah in the context of the tabernacle. And this idea that you leave bread, and I mentioned this morning in Torah study, that the Zohar teaches that during Shabbat, Zohar is the mystic book that was the most important Kabbalistic book that was written in Spain, if you believe that, because some people believe that it was written in the land of Israel in the 2nd century, different conversation. But anyway, 13th century Spain, and it's the first well-known, very foundational work of Kabbalah as Kabbalah itself, recognizing itself as Kabbalah. And the Zohar says that during Shabbat, you need to have all the time a piece of challah in your table. In the day of spiritual nourishment, you need to make sure that there's always a piece of physical nourishment that is connected to that. And I think that the Mishkan, the tabernacle, is exactly that. There is a component of physical nourishment, of basic needs that need to be fulfilled, and a component that refers to a spiritual nourishment. And the little detail that I liked sharing this morning, and I want to repeat it, is this idea that the table is a whole. Like in the measurements, we have all these dimensions of the Mishkan, of 1 by 2, or 1.5 and 2.5. In the ark, there are halves. In the table, there are full pieces. And the rabbis say, beautiful idea, that your physical nourishment can be fulfilled, can be satisfied. And therefore, we have whole pieces. You can have enough food, you can have enough money. It's difficult for us to say that we have enough money. How many people you know that have said that I have enough money? How many people say, no, I have enough? We really struggle with that, and that's a problem. That's a problem. Not to know what's enough. To say, Asameach bechelko, says the Mishnah. The one who is happy with his share, with his lot. On the other hand, the ark, symbol of spirituality, halves. And for that, the reason is for us to understand that in that area, in that section of our life, the section of spiritual nourishment, we are never whole. We are supposed to be forever seekers. And the tradition teaches, and a portion that we often read around Yom Kippur, that Mishnah teaches, that one can do teshuvah until the day before you die, until the very minute before you die. You can repent, you can spiritually grow until the moment before you die. And that counts. And that counts. And I think that this Torah portion, the Torah portion of the Mishkan, or Torah portion, but we will focus on the Mishkan for several Torah portions later on, but this initial one, Parashat Trumah, in which we talk about how we become shareholders in the Mishkan, teaches us that our contributions are a reflection of our values, a reflection of our aspirations, and a reflection of the values that we hold dear, the things that we want to have in our hearts. And what the Hasidut teaches, what the Hasidic Baal Shem Tov taught, is that the Mishkan ultimately is a reflection of our own hearts. And so, that our hearts are things that we can actually build and shape. And they can hold whatever we want to have there. We just need to be intentional about what we are building. So with that idea, I promise not to make it too long, 5 minutes I think is fine. With that idea, we're going to get started with the reading of Parashat Trumah. We will call the Gabbai. Oh no, I will find it for you in a second. And we will need to find now with the pages in the Torah books. We'll call our Balat Kriya. Now, Carol, come. Interesting thing is that we don't call the reader. We like the reader is like, well, it's just reading. No, we really appreciate you. Like, come. we really appreciate it. But in the choreography of the service, the ones that hold the honor of coming up to the Torah are those that recite the blessing. The reader is just a reader. No, it's important. No, Balat Kriya is a reader, but the honor is carried by the person, who is saying the blessing for the Torah. Okay, you have the text? We're going to put it here. Come with me. I'm going to stand here. And those that come up to the Torah come from this side, then move to this side, and then you make some circle around, and then you go back to your place, right?
We were just talking about that. Like, when do you kiss first or touch and kiss?
You touch and kiss.
Touch and kiss.
I wouldn't know. I need to do emotion, actually.
As the person doing the blessing? Yeah.
Yes, the reader. So here's the thing. The reader can be a child. The reader doesn't have to be a bar mitzvah. Doesn't need to be committed to a mitzvot, which opens a space for a very interesting, different discussion, tell you a different opportunity. The reader can be someone who can read, period. The one who says the blessing has to be a bar or bad of an a mitzvah. Has to be someone who sees a commitment for the mitzvot, or for some mitzvot, and can speak on behalf of the community. The blessing is recited on behalf of the community. The reader is performing. Hi, Dave. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dave. He was the president of our congregation many, many years ago. I don't know if you know Dave, but he works every day. It's wonderful. Good to see you. Yeah. So we're gonna Ruth, you have Parashat Truma. What page is it?
It begins on 604.
604, and in the Tikkun, we're gonna find Truma in 1 second. Toldot is Genesis. Shemot is Exodus, Vashalach, Hotzad. Truma, here you are. Yes. Yeah, she's at the beginning. And then we're gonna go to the. We are almost there, friends. No, find it here, you. Stay here. Okay. And okay. Yes, you're in the right place. So what's happening is, things happen usually a bit faster, but we are taking the time today. So we need to find that the Torah is in the right place. We actually prepare the Torah before the service. And so, because otherwise you might be rolling, there's a bar mitzvah child that took the Torah, and then like you find out that you are in the book of Deuteronomy because the child has the bar mitzvah like 5 months from now, and you need to de-unroll the entire Torah. Oh, so that's one component. Then we have it now in the Tikkun, so that Jan can support Caroline. And we have the pages for you to follow the reading. So it's almost a perfect situation. Okay? So, and I'm going to help a little bit. So this is usually done by the Gabbai, but it's a stretch, so I will do it today. But there's a little call. I make the call. So, Yahamod, Asher ben Chanoch bechana. Arnie Pink, in honor of his birthday. Arnie, how old are you? 86, mazal tov. Ay, 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 simen tov. Ay, 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 masel tov. Ay, 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 yelanu, ulechol am Israel. Mazal tov, mazal tov.
It's been a while since I've attended services on Saturdays. I'm a little out of shape. 3 years.
Good. It's so good to have you here.
Okay.
You're in the wrong page.
Okay.
Now you're in the right one.
Yeah, right. Baruch Hu Adonai Baruch.
Baruch Adonai Mevorach Leolam Ba'ed.
Baruch Adonai V'Achem Moed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'chavonu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu Torah emet. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Amen. Yidaber Adonai al Moshe lemor. Daber al bnei Yisrael v'yikhu li truma meit kol ish asher yidvenu libo tiku et trumati v'zot hatruma asher tiku meitam Zachar v'chesef unchoshet.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'chavonu
Asher natan lanu.
asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam notapotecha. Baruch Atah Adonai.
Noten HaTorah. Yishar koach Arnie. Mazal tov. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now you're going to go into the other side.
I know.
Well, we are just saying for everybody today, this is our how to do it service, right? Like, so we are going step by step, and if you feel that and now I need to help me. If you feel that I'm missing something, that I am just doing it without thinking about it, and you say, hey, how did these two things came together? Tell me, and I'll explain if I can. For example, the kiss, I don't know. That's how we do it. And so, so, yeah, so you cover the Torah. So you don't have to close the Torah, but you cover the Torah. Why? And let's ask the question. Thank you, Ruth. Where's the, we can put this? It's okay. So why we do that? Any idea? There's a reason. That one I know, actually. The kiss, I don't know why the order. but I just know how you do it. But and I'm curious now if there is a reason for the order of how you kiss your tzitzit. But we cover the Torah because during the time that we are not using the Torah proper, it's kind of a lack of respect to have the Torah open. And so in terms of we honor the Torah, we defer the Torah sacred kavod, like a sacred honor. And therefore, when we are not using the Torah, we cover the Torah. Exactly as we cover the bread in Shabbat, right? And it's kind of similar idea. We cover it when we're going to use it, we uncover it, and then we say the bracha. Ya'amod, Elisha, David ben Issachar Dov, in honor of his birthday, Alex Goldberger. Ay, 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 si hace tov. Ay, 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 si men tov. Ay, 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 yelanu, lechol am Israel. Masalto, how old are you? We went to a conversation.
1 year younger.
1 year younger. You know, I noticed that. You know? Yeah, I was sure. And so nice to have the two of you singing together here.
Thank you.
Well, now we're going to uncover the Torah. We don't need to be very nervous about this part.
Borchu es Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Voed. Baruch Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech olam. Asher bocha bonu mikol ho'amim. ונותן לנו את תורתו, ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen.
Amen. ותכלת וארגמן ותולעת שני ושש ביצים ואורות אלים אדמים ואורות השים ועצי שיטים שמן לאמור בשמים לשמן המשחה ולקטורת הסמים.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נוטע בזוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני
נותן התורה. Amen. יישר כוח.
Thank you.
יישר כוח. Very good to see you. Very, very good. Tahamot, Tahamot. It's you, Caroline. I think it's you. Yeah, it's have you. Okay.
That's okay, I'll do it.
We'll call you. What's your Hebrew name? And now you get some honor.
Zisachana bat Moshe b'bracha.
Tahamot, Tahamot. Sisachana, Bat Moshe Bebracha, Lichbod HaTorah, Lichbod HaMakom, Lichbod, in the honor of the Torah and our place and our community, and Lichbod, and in honor of the fact that it's the first time that you're reading Torah.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll say Shechayanu after that. I'm going to give you lots of lessons now.
Baruch et Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Mevorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim ונתן לנו את תורתו, ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen.
Okay, here it is.
Amen. Avnei shoham v'avnei meluim לאפוד ולחושן ועשו לי מקדש ושכנתי בתוכם ככל אשר אני מראה אותך את תבנית המשכן ואת תבנית כל כליו וכן תעשו. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
אמן. יישר כוח, יישר כוח. Yahamod, Yahamod. We need to stay here. Anyway, Yahamod, Yahamod. Mitchell, what's your Hebrew name? You are muted. מיכאל ליאור בן שלמה ברבקה לעליית המפטיר וגם he's going to be also בעל הקריאה, the Torah reader. And one of the beautiful things that we learn in Zoom so during the pandemic is that we can bring people from all over to participate in the work of Torah. The way we do this, he's going to read the maftir. The way we do, now I want to teach you the Torah of Zoom for 1 second. And so you will remain standing here. You will remain doing the Gabbai work. It's going to be reading from there. Now there is an open Torah. And what we do, even when people would read sometimes from a Tikkun Korim, from a side book, because they didn't prepare the cantillation or something, and you have an open Torah, you're supposed to, that's how I believe and many others, follow the reading in the Torah as well. So the Torah is not just open. Someone is reading from the Torah, and the translator is reading from somewhere else. So that's how it works. And once again, the intention is to make sure that we do honor our Torah, our scripture, and we are very careful when we use the scripture. So we will emphasize Mitchell, and you will do the blessing for Torah, and I will follow the reading here once I find it.
And if you can find them up too.
I will find it in a second. I need to, okay, I'll do both. Wait.
What is
It's
the
the very
definition
last.
of maftir?
Okay. Maftir is yes. So maftir is the last. Like the explanation is the last portion of the Torah reading. So, for example, if you have a bar mitzvah or a bnei mitzvah and they go by the triennial and they have like different portions, they all have the same maftir. They all have like this. But besides that, traditionally the maftir was the conduit into the haftarah. So the one who would do the maftir would also do the haftarah blessings and go into the reading of haftarah, and it was a very quick transition. You will see. Have mishpatim truma here. So you will see that the maftir is actually written somewhere. Small.
It's identified.
Yeah, of course. It's right here. You see? So the maftir is actually written. So the verses that you're looking for, my friends,
Easier to find here than here.
is 15 of the 15th verse. In what chapter? in the last chapter that we are reading in Parashat Truma. And let me find for you the maftir here. How it start here? ויעל משה אל ההר ויכנס חנן את ההר.
Rabbi, I'm starting at line 17 as Maktir.
Okay, that works too. Can I ask you for the... Where's the maftir? Yeah, go.
But he's starting what?
Yeah, here, Mishpatim, yeah. So,
Okay, he's going to start.
so you started in Yabo. Okay, we'll try to... You can go and I will find you until you get there. Go for the blessing. Baruch Adonai Mevorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Elam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher nasa lanu torat emet achei olam nasa b'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Kol amudei ha'eser sagir mechushakim kesef. Amehem kesef. Ve'adnehem nechshet. Orech ha'ketzer. Mea ve'amat. Berachot hamishim v'chamishim. Bekach bekoma. Hameshamot shesh machzor. Ve'adnehem nechshet. Lechol kvei hamishkan. Bechol avodato. Bechol yitdotav. Bechol yitdot chetz chetzer nechshet. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'chavad mikol amim natan lanu et Torah. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Therefore, and now, so let me stay here. Now, so here's another section. An important thing that happens also when people come up to the Torah is not a part of the reading of the Torah is not part of our spiritual kind of worship. It's actually a communal moment. It's a moment in which the community comes together, simchas are shared, like you say happy birthday and you think mazal tov to people, and you acknowledge some of the simchas and some of the happy things that are happening and some of the tzures, and you acknowledge also ill people. There are several things that happen here because the Torah reading becomes the central square of the community. And it's a moment of more open conversation in which we share things. And it was customary, or this is customary in many congregations, to do a short misheberach. Misheberach is not only for healing, it's can be for a birthday, it can be for a milestone. It's common to do, there is a traditional misheberach every time that people come to an aliyah. We have like a summary of misheberach at the end of our Torah readings that you can find on page 370. And we have also misheberach for the ill. We will also say, we'll take a moment to acknowledge the fact that Karen, you read Torah for the first time. So you would say Sheheyanu? Sheheyanu is somewhere. But otherwise, if you don't know it by heart, go.
You just want to say it.
You can sing it if you want. It's easier.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu
Sheheyanu, Vekimanu, Begianu, Lasman, Aseh. May this be the first, but not the last time that you read Torah in our community. May this be the first of many, many, many times. Saturdays, Mondays, and Thursdays that we read Torah, that you start reading Torah with us. Toda Rabba, thank you very much, Masalto. You give a little bit to the community, and the community wants a little bit more. It's the truma. What a truma. What a contribution that she brought to our community. What a blessing. May the one who bless our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, will bless all those that came up to the Torah in honor of the Torah, in honor of our community, in honor of God. May all of them merit the blessing for the Holy One, and they merit the blessing of rescue from any trouble of distress, from any illness, minor or serious, and may God send blessing and success in all your endeavors together with all Israel. And let us say, Amen. And also we will mention our Gabayit. Is that your first time also?
Yeah, because normally the counters go out.
Okay. So we have the first Gabayit in training here in the community. May you are the first of many, many Gabayot and Gabayim, if there's some also others, but Gabayot that emerge from our community and engage in the work of Torah. We also take a moment to acknowledge those that are dealing with illness. We say, Misheberach, Avotenu v'Imotenu, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. May the one who bless our ancestors. We Barech et HaCholim, will bless those who are ill. And if you have a name that you'd like to share in this morning of Shabbat, I invite you to do so as we go around the room.
Stephen Auerbach.
My niece Karen Sherman.
Jill Backer. Mary Engel.
Richard Kennemer, Chuck Long, Cindy Gordon, Bruce Roberts, Stuart Mass, Alfreda Matzman, Diane Siegel, Jill Becker, Gil Frankel, Scott Bangundi, Debbie Pink, Daphne Talmor, Mira Engel, Jill Janow, Dave Stoll, Greg Herb, Michelle Wiener, Murray Siegel, Maggie Scardigli, Dennis Pringle, Lonnie Goldman, Richard Rabich, Bernice Paris, Adam Kaufman, Ian Ballard, Franklin Wilson, Barda Saadhi, Antti Talbot, and Irina Greenwald. May the blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send to all of them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And let us say, Amen. I want to share with you a beautiful tradition that happens mostly in Orthodox schools. And every time I see it, I say, maybe at some point we need to try that too. Is that when the Torah is being returned to the ark, and the ark is open, people just come up. And the Misheberach is not recited publicly. The rabbi say, or someone who is holding the Torah says the Misheberach, sometimes it's the rabbi. And then people say those names, bring those names up. That's why we ask also people to say those names out loud. But this idea that in order to support those that are ill, we bring our hearts, we engage in prayer, and we move. We engage our bodies, we move toward them. It's a beautiful and a very symbolic idea. On page 374, you will see that we have the Agba and you want to call me up to do Agba?
I was going to open the...
You want me to call? I can do Agba. I'm gonna show you how to do Agba. So, I'm gonna call me myself.
Oh.
Yeah. Please rise as we do Agba and Glelila. You don't need to open the art yet. No, because we're gonna sit and do Glelila first.
Okay.
Will you help me with the Glelila part? I will do the Agba, and you help me with the Glelila part, which basically put in the dressing. So look at this. Everybody, if you one day want to do this. So different people want different size of openings for the Torah. But all the technique is to be able to do this motion. If you do this motion, then all the rest. Besot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Israel el pi Adonai beyad Moshe. And I cannot do that right now, but we lift up our tzitzit and we put our tzitzit between our eyes and the Torah. And it's a reminder that at the end of the day, we are left to live with the stories of the Torah and the mitzvot that emerge from the Torah in our lives, in our walks, in our daily practices. And that spirituality doesn't only happen in our Mishkan, in our sanctuary. It happens as we walk our walk through life. בסוטה תורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל. אני אדוני ביד משה. ידה לי 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 ידה לי 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 ידה לי 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 Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 את חיימי למה חסיקים בה ותומכיה מאושר דרכיה דרכי נועם בכל נתיבותיה Shalom, Ashivenu Adonai, Elecha v'nashuva, Hadash yameinu kekedem. Return us to you, Adonai, and we will return. Renew our days as of in days of old. I invite you to turn your Sidurim to page 586. For Aleinu Leshabeach, we call this section the descent section. We bring it back together with two prayers, Aleinu and Kaddish. And I invite you to just to read one sentence within Aleinu, the sentence Be'ashevota el levavecha. And then at the end we will move two more pages and sing the words of Benemar, etc., etc. Behashevota, behashevota, elevavecha, elevavecha, ki Adonai, Elohim Benemar Be'ayadonai Lemelech al kol haaretz Vayom ahu Yeh Adonai echad Ushemo Ushemo echad. Thank you so much. You may be seated. At the end of our prayers, we take a moment to say Kaddish. Now, some of you, if you have prayed in other synagogues or not in liberal synagogues, you will see that Kaddish is not always recited. Because Kaddish, Reform Jews, like the most common cultural shock for a Reform Jew after being in cultural shock for an entire service, in an Orthodox service, is that all of a sudden, nobody's saying Kaddish. And they leave. And there's and the reason is because there's a space, everybody knows what they are doing, technically, and people are self-driven, commonly. Not all Orthodox services, but most. And then at some point you get to Kaddish. If you need to say Kaddish, because you are doing the first 7 days of mourning, 30 days, a year, whatever, or you have a yard side, You just say Kaddish. And then people that are here say, oh, he's saying Kaddish, or she's saying Kaddish. It's mostly he's saying Kaddish. And they, they stop. They answer. They finish folding their talitot, and they leave. And the reason for that is because Kaddish is supposed to be said originally by the mourner and for immediate family. For us, Kaddish has developed in a very different way, in which we acknowledge not only the immediate family, we acknowledge beloved people that we are dearly missing. We acknowledge people that might have nobody for them to say Kaddish. But at the end of the day, mourning is a status. And needs to be, to some extent, self-recognized. That's why it's important for the community, on one hand, to read the names of our congregants that we have lost over the years, and at the same time, to have congregants that actively come and say Kaddish for their dear ones. So they are not names in a paper, they belong to the memory of someone. The important thing to understand is that we're almost deferring. It's important to have them, not denying the importance. At the same time, it's important to carry them. So there's an interesting tension there. And ultimately, last thing, sorry, about Kaddish, is this idea that Kaddish is very similar to the Hetzi Kaddish that is for transition. Right? It is not a memorial prayer. When people say, give me the, particularly in interfaith settings, I'm called, say, well, I put the Jewish memorial prayer. What do you put? Kaddish. Well, no, don't put that one. Put something else. Put El Maleh Rachamim. Put something else. But Kaddish doesn't cut it. Because Kaddish doesn't say anything about mourning. Well, our human life that has been lost. Kaddish speaks about renewing our faith in the beauty of the world and the beauty of the divine, and finding once again our ability to have hope, to praise. The first word of Kaddish is Itgadal, right? We ask, Itgadal comes from the word Gadol. It's in Aramaic, right? But in Hebrew, the word Gadol has something bigger. We ask for expansion, and words matter here, my friends. We ask for expansion. Why? Because when we lose someone, a beloved person, our world becomes reduced, just smaller. And our life experience becomes just a bit smaller. And we stand here morning and say, I remember a different war. And I'm mourning that war. I'm mourning that loss. Not only in the embodiment of that dear soul, that dear person that I miss. That sense of connection that I have with the world that to some extent I'm missing. And then we say, I hope I find it. I'll keep pushing. I will look at the reality with hope, and I'll keep pushing. I hope I find it. Not that person, but my hope and my faith in how the world can be experienced. And I engage in that search. And in that place, we say Kaddish. So, if you are doing the first 7 days of mourning, Shiva, please rise. If you are doing the first 30 days of mourning, Shloshim, please rise. If you are doing the cycle of the first year of mourning, please rise and share with us who you're remembering.
Barbara Lombard and Charlene Kilgore.
Remain standing, please. You have a yortzeit this week, please rise.
My father, Henry Lipsey.
Any other yortzeits in the community?
My brother, Terry Pink.
And if you feel comfortable doing so, we invite you to rise so you can be. The reason we ask people to rise also for the community, not everybody to rise at the same time. There's a reason also I ask people to rise one by one. We say 7:30 cycle of the first 11 months. We want to be able to see mourners. Otherwise, everybody stand up and who knows? Everybody's reciting Kaddish. So I want to know. So you stood up last night, and then I remember that you have a yard side, that you're missing someone. That's how we create community as well. Our community is thinking of the deaths and the passing of Bob Sturman, Leonora Wang, Adam Richard Spilka, Shlomo Eipsips, Howard Levine, Barbara Lombard, Claire London, Drago Herman, Merle Greenwald, Samuel Greenwald, Anita Komula, Bryce Lyon, Edna Stone, Miriam Davids, Lauren Janovich, Janet Wall, Charlene Kilgore, Estra Saati, Gideon Hofer, Alvin Kramer, Siegel, Blasta Bechnovich, Galina Butorina, Karen Balsano, Lillian Berman, Robin, Bruce Meyers, Abraham Carras, Scott Safadi, Norman Green, Marilyn Silverman, Leslie Achnal, David Green, Jenny Porush, Estelle Abrams, Spencer Caney, Arthur Cherdak, John Leveres, Marilyn Hendelman, Kay Damron, Nira Marom, Andrea Cameron, Siva Furusan, Roselle Newton, Linda Sherry, Fred De Castro, Sherry Shekean, Larry Eisen, Harry Gross, Michael Tauf, David Schwartz, Rhoda Freeman, Iliad Froner Lipsitz, and people that passed away by this time of the year in years past: Elsa Leiter King, Hannah Lieberman, Henry Lipsy, Isidore Taub, Marvin Heller, and Rennie Berman. And you can support our fellows while standing or sitting, joining us with your voices and your hearts, or your hearts, on page 598 for Kaddish Avelim, Mourner's Kaddish. יתגדל ויתקדש שבבא.
אמן.
בעלמא דברה חירותי, בהמליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן.
אמן.
יהא שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולמי עלמיה, יתברך, ישתבח, ויתפאר, ויתרומם, ויתנשא, ויתהדר, ויתעלה, ויתהלל, שמי לקודשה בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירם בעלמה, ואמרו אמן.
אמן.
יש למה רבה מן שמיה, בחיים טובים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. May the memories of your dear ones be always a blessing in your life. יהיה זכרם ברוך. You may be seated. Just making sure that, do I have a board rep sharing announcements? It's me, okay. So, I do need them. 1 second. So check our website. So we have all kind of activities happening. Announcements February 24. What day is today? It's 25. No, it's the same. It's the same. Thank you. Thank you. And they are written in the program. No, you please look into announcements. But just a couple of quick things. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., I invite you to join me in marching in San Francisco. I will be participating in the rally. I'm going to participate as an attendee. We'll be standing there with my daughter. And if you're around, I will be happy to say hello to you. That's happening at 2 p.m. And we are going to be likely sending a letter tonight with the location. And if we don't manage, because technology doesn't work with us, because something happens in the technology of Shir Hadash, you all have me on Facebook. I will post that. Find me on Facebook. I will be posting that, and you'll know where to be, and you can text me, and we'll see you there.
Is anyone carpooling?
I will stay in San Francisco after that, so sorry, but maybe other friends here are going and can participate in the carpool. I can carpool in the way there, but not on the way back. We have a birthday trip with her. We want to spend the night in San Francisco. Okay, on March 2nd, Thursday, March 2nd, Nashim, we are going to be, I think it's our last session. There's 2 more? Okay, we have more Nashim. No worries. I thought it was, for some reason I didn't make it to my calendar, but doesn't matter. We're gonna be there. It will be fantastic. So we'll be talking. If we have tomorrow, I might change the topic. We'll see. We're talking about the remarkable Jewish woman. We're going to talk about several of them together. Maybe we talk about Esther then. So and Vashti. March 4th at 5 p.m. there is a shoot-in sleepover for teens. So if you have a teen in your family or you know any teens, we encourage you to send them to have a sleepover at Shir Hadash. We will be preparing the Purim Carnival that will happen on March 5th. Now, if you have children, if you know any children in the community, just bring them to the carnival. It's going to be fantastic. Rabbi Peach is working very hard to make it happen, so I think everybody will have a blast. And on March 6th, our congregation will have our Purim-wide Purim Spiel. It's going to be fantastic, and this year is, I think, Encanto. So serious Purim Spiel, wonderful service, open bar in the service. So I wasn't joking. So you know, just come and join us. And Sunday, March 12th, from 8 to 1 p.m., we have a Stanford blood drive. And also, we have this wonderful activity organized by our Shock people, the Abrahamic Alliance. They're coming to cook together here at Shir Hadash. Now, if you want to participate, you need to sign up for that one. So make sure that you sign up. And that's all the information.
Well, Rabbi, not everyone knows what the rally is you're going to.
In support of the rethinking of the legislation in Israel that is being offered to reform the judicial system in Israel, that many of us believe that piece of legislation threatens the Israeli democracy. And hundreds of thousands of people are demonstrating in Israel and all over the world to ask the Israeli government and coalition to seriously reconsider their actions.
One of our congregants is going to be speaking.
Yeah, Galit. Galit will be speaking there. Yeah, so.
Do you think it'll help any? I mean, Netanyahu and that crew is in.
That's a very good question. And we spent the entire Torah study on that. And the short answer is yes. The short answer is yes, because at least it will affect you. At least it will affect you. If you decide that there's nothing to do, you know, that's a way to look at the world. You know, when you decide that you will engage, that you will get involved, and there are several ways to get involved. Demonstrations are one of them. Then you can keep arguing. For example, or I can keep arguing that I'm a Zionist. How can I argue that I'm a Zionist if now when the Zionist enterprise, which basically means to hold Jewish and democratic together, is being threatened, I don't go out to the streets to say that I disagree with this piece of legislation. How do I tell myself the story of who I am? What kind of tabernacle I am building?
That was my question, really. I mean, can the people of Israel
I understood your question.
start a new government?
I understood your question.
Pardon?
I understood your question. And my answer is that any change that starts by people that are first of all themselves believers. You need to believe in something. Because otherwise, like, you know, why would anyone else care? If you care, if you bring that meaning, then there's something moving. If your presence there will affect Netanyahu's mind or the minister, like the minister of justice in Israel, and make him change his mind, that I don't know. My hope is that it affects your mind. Okay, last thing, we're going to conclude our service. There are hymns to conclude services, many points. In traditional settings, there's a song called Shir Akabod, the song of honor. We're not going to sing that one because nobody knows it here, but maybe one day we do learn it. And I don't even know if it's in the CD but there's a part of that which is Mi Pierre, which is a poem that we do have here. We'll work on that more profoundly in a different opportunity. Has beautiful, beautiful melodies. But for today, just for today, we just sing Adon Olam, which cuts it too. On page 625. Are you on 625? Are you there? So, Adon Olam, we sing 5 verses out of many that are in our Siddur. I invite you to, by number 4, just to rise if you feel comfortable doing so. Which Adon Olam shall we do? Come on. Give me a change. Don't give me the one you give me always. That's the orchestra one. That's not the one that we do always. We can do that one. We haven't done it. Can we do? Let's do a Hasidic one. Just for an European one this time. Adon Olam
אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא ועת נשא בחסדו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה והוא אחד ואין שני להמשירו להחמירה והוא ראשית בלי תכלית ולא העוז והמשרה והוא אלי וחי גואלי וצור חבלי והצרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כוסי ביום אקרא בידו אפקיר רוחי ועת אישה בעירה ועם רוחי גבייתי אדוני לי ולא יירא.
אדוני עוש לעמיו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. May God gives to all of us the strength to be builders of peace, builders of shalom. And may God bless us with peace. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Come.
You wanted the orchestra Adon Olam, right? Olam, Asher Malach, בטרם כל יציר נברא, ועת נשא בחסדו כל, עשה מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם, ואחרי ככלות הכל, לבדו ימלוך נורא אדון נורא. והוא היה, והוא עובד, והוא יהיה בתפארה. ילום, פה, היא לבד. אדון עולם אשר מלך, בטרם כל יציר נברא, ועת נשא בחסדו כל, עשה מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם.